The fear of the regulars. Across the galaxy, whispers spread like fire. Every council hall, every war chamber, every hidden network repeated the same story. Humans had entered the stars late, but when they came, they changed everything. At first, the alien empires laughed. They looked at Earth and saw only a small blue world, a young race, a fragile people. But that illusion ended fast. The first wars proved something no one had believed. Human soldiers, even the so-called regulars, fought with a spirit the galaxy had never seen. They fought on toxic worlds. In burning cities across frozen plains while other species would retreat, humans adapted. They never surrendered, never broke. They carried their comrades on their backs. They turned scraps into weapons. They used fire, steel, and willpower that no alien could measure. The Council kept records. Entire fleets sent to punish human colonies came back broken. Pirates hired to raid human outposts were wiped out. Armies, thought to be unbreakable, scattered before a few regiments of humans again and again. One question echoed. If this was humanity's ordinary army, what would their elite look like? Commanders across the stars remembered the battles. An entire armored legion of the Zorath had been stopped by 2 human battalions in the Battle of Kalis. The Varun coalition sent war beasts against Earth, but human rifles and trench lines shattered them in hours. The Zayeth, who lived only for war, avoided direct fights with humans whenever possible. Fear grew. It was not just about numbers or weapons. Humans had something else, something the galaxy had no word for. They called it madness, courage, or desperation. But none of the words were enough. Humans fought as if every battle was personal, as if losing meant extinction. And perhaps, deep inside, that was true. Around the Council's great table, the alien leaders argued. Some said to ban humans from wars. Some said to make treaties. Others wanted to destroy Earth before it was too late. But even the thought of it made their voices tremble. Already humanity's regular soldiers made whole empires cautious. A tale spread from the Rim. A human regiment had been cut off on the barren world of Shalar Prime. 10,000 enemies surrounded. Them, no food, no ships, no reinforcements. By every law of war, they should have fallen. But they fought for 3 weeks. When the relief fleet finally arrived, the enemies were gone. The battlefield was silent. The regiment still stood, hungry, tired but unbroken. Aliens who survived those battles spoke in hushed tones. They said human eyes were different. They burned with something alien races could not match. A promise to each other, a fire that turned defeat into fury. They feared even the laughter of humans in trenches, for it meant the fight had only begun. Soon the galaxy's young races learned a rule. If you faced a human army, do not expect an easy fight. If you thought they would surrender, you would be the one kneeling. If you thought they would die quietly, you would be the one buried. The Council tried to ignore it, but deep in their hearts, they knew already. They feared the regular soldiers of Earth. Already they whispered of what more might come. And in the darkness of their fear, one thought rose again and again. If this was only the beginning, if these were only the ordinary humans, then what horrors waited when Earth decided to unleash the ones they called special forces? The galaxy shivered, and no one dared to say it aloud. But every ruler, every general, every scout already knew. The regulars were terrifying. The shadows, behind them, could only be worse. The hidden arrival. The galaxy had feared the human regulars for years, yet curiosity always burned behind fear. Some alien leaders wanted to see more. They wanted to know if the legends of the special forces were true. The Council sent spies. They did not dare march armies onto Earth itself, but they slipped agents into human colonies. They arrived on merchant ships posing as traders, scientists, even refugees. Their task was simple: observe, report, and return with knowledge. But none of them expected what they would witness. A mid-rim colony called Arden's Reach. Human life seemed normal. There were soldiers walking in patrols, engineers repairing ships, families in the markets. It looked safe, even peaceful. But hidden in the shadow of the colony mountains, something else was happening. The spies followed a trail of whispers. They heard children speak of ghost men who trained in silence. They heard merchants talk of soldiers who disappeared for months and returned with scars and eyes that had seen too much. One night, the spies saw them. In the darkness, figures moved without sound. They did not wear bright uniforms like regular soldiers. They wore dark armor, their faces hidden. They carried weapons no alien had seen before. The spies could barely follow their movements. They were too fast, too precise, like shadows walking among the living. The next day, the spies sent coded messages back to their fleets. "We have found them. They exist. They are not like the others." But even their reports failed to capture the truth. For when the special forces trained, the air itself felt heavy. The training grounds were hidden inside old mining tunnels. The spies crept close, using cloaks to hide from scanners. What they saw chilled them. The humans trained not only their bodies but their minds. They were taught to fight in complete silence, to vanish in smoke, to survive without food or light. One spy watched in horror as a human soldier was buried alive in a shallow pit. Hours later, he crawled out breathing slow and steady, smiling as if death had been a test he had passed. They were preparing for something far beyond war. They were preparing to be nightmares. Even among humans, whispers grew. Ordinary soldiers spoke with respect and fear about the operators, the ghost teams, the special forces. They said these men and women did not break. They did not speak of their missions. Some said they had been to alien homeworlds and returned with trophies. Others said they could breathe in toxic gas, could walk through fire, could fight blindfolded. The spies did not believe the tales until one night, when they saw a test. A squad of 12 humans entered the forest near the colony. Each carried only a knife. The spies followed them from a distance, but within minutes the humans disappeared. The forest fell silent. No sound of animals, no sound of wind. Hours later, only 9 humans returned. The others were gone. No one asked. No one explained. It was as if the forest had taken them, or as if they had chosen to stay behind for reasons unknown. The aliens sent their final report. If the galaxy feared human armies, it should fear these shadows more. Regulars. Fight with courage, but these do not fight like soldiers. They fight like predators. One spy added a last line before the transmission cut. "We were told to study them, but we cannot. For every time we watch, we feel they are watching us instead." The council received the message in silence. No one laughed, no one mocked, for the truth had been confirmed. Humanity's special forces were real, and they were not bound by the same limits as ordinary armies. A Keith commander whispered to his neighbor, "The regulars broke our fleets and we feared them. If these new ones move, if Earth decides to unleash them, no empire will survive." The council chamber fell into darkness. None dared speak further, but across the stars, the whispers grew. Aliens had seen Earth's shadows, and they knew a storm was coming. First encounter. The galaxy had doubted, then feared, and now it would finally witness. The moment came not from great wars or declarations, but from a pirate fleet, hired secretly by alien lords who wanted to test humanity's limits. The fleet descended on Arden's Reach, the human colony where spies had seen the shadows train. Ordinary life ended in minutes. Sirens wailed, markets emptied, skies filled with fire. Regular human soldiers rushed to defend, their discipline sharp, their courage unshaken. They held the line with rifles and armor, turning streets into barricades. The pirates were sure of victory. They had more ships, more weapons, more mercenaries. They laughed as they pressed forward, believing humans could only resist for hours. But then something changed. The shadows moved. At first, no one saw them. A pirate squad entered a street. Seconds later, silence. Only the sound of boots echoed. As the squad never returned, another group stormed a warehouse. Moments later, the lights went out and screams cut through the air. When reinforcements arrived, the place was empty. No bodies, no blood. Only the echo of fear, from rooftops to alleys, from tunnels to skywalks. The special forces struck. They did not come in waves. They came as whispers, silent and sudden. Their rifles coughed softly. Their knives flashed quick. No wasted motion, no mercy. One pirate commander shouted in rage, "They are few! Find them! Crush them!" But his voice shook. For every pirate lost, no human body was found. The regular soldiers still fought at the front. But behind enemy lines, something darker was unfolding. A group of pirates set up a heavy cannon in the square. They prepared to fire on human barracks. Just as the cannon charged, 3 figures stepped from the shadows. They moved faster than eyes could follow. In seconds, the pirates were gone, and the cannon turned silently toward its own fleet. A blast of fire lit the sky, destroying their own gunship. The council spies hiding in the colony watched in horror. They had reported shadows, but this was beyond even their warnings. These humans were not soldiers in the normal sense, they were hunters, and the battlefield was their forest. One pirate survivor was dragged back to his captain. His eyes were wide, his hands shaking. They don't fight fair. They don't stand and shoot. They come from behind, from below, from the air. They see everything, they hear everything. He collapsed before he could finish. By dawn, the pirate fleet was broken. The regular soldiers stood tall, bloodied but alive. The colony still stood, yet no one celebrated, because everyone knew who had turned the battle. The special forces emerged at sunrise, a dozen figures walking through the smoke. Their armor carried dust, not blood. Their faces were hidden, and their silence was heavier than any victory cheer. They passed the regular troops without a word, disappearing back into the mountains. The pirates who survived spread their tales. In backwater bars and smuggler dens and war camps, they spoke of humans who fought like ghosts. They said even the shadows feared them. They said their weapons spoke softly, but their silence was worse. The galaxy listened, fear deepened. The council argued again. Some said humanity should be outlawed. Others whispered that war with them meant extinction. A single truth echoed. Across the stars, if the regular soldiers had shaken the galaxy, the special forces had broken its courage. And still, no one had seen their true power. Not yet. For this was only a first encounter, a warning, a shadow of what was coming when Earth decided to strike with purpose. The vanishing fleet. The council could no longer ignore the stories. The pirates' defeat spread through every star system. No alien commander wanted to admit it, but whispers grew louder. Humanity's special forces were real. They had shown themselves, and fear was spreading like a sickness. So the council made a decision. If shadows could be feared, then shadows must be caught. They would capture a special forces team alive, study them, learn their secrets, and break the myth before it grew stronger. They sent a fleet, not a small one. Not scouts, but 30 warships armed with the best scanners and the best hunters. The mission was secret, but the galaxy soon heard of it. Everyone waited, wondering if humans would finally fall. The fleet reached the asteroid belt near Arden's Reach. Reports claimed the special forces used the tunnels there for training. They searched carefully, scanning every rock, sending drones into caves. But the silence was heavy, too heavy. The commanders grew uneasy. It was as if the asteroids themselves were watching them. Then the first ship vanished. It did not explode. It did not send distress. One moment it was on scanners, the next it was gone. Crew, weapons, everything. A captain shouted for answers, but there was nothing. Minutes later, a second ship went dark. Its lights flickered once, then the void swallowed. Panic spread. The fleet formed tighter formations, weapons ready, drones circled, scanning for cloaked vessels, mines, anything. But the danger was already inside. On the command ship, alarms blared, intruders on deck, soldiers rushed to intercept, corridors echoed with gunfire. But nothing appeared on cameras. Only shadows flickered across the screens, men shouting before silence fell. The council commanders listened in horror as voices came through the comms. They are inside the walls. They are everywhere. Then, static, a desperate admiral ordered full retreat. Engines roared, but half the fleet could not respond. Their controls were already dead. Their crews already silent. One by one, their signals blinked out. The survivors fled, their ships limping. Only 6 of 30 returned to council space. Their reports were broken, filled with fragments of fear. They hunted us from the inside, one said. They were on board before we even arrived. Another cried. The council demanded proof, demanded bodies, demanded evidence, but there was nothing. No wreckage, no corpses, no clear explanation, only silence in the asteroid belt where the fleet had vanished. The mystery grew darker. Some whispered that the humans had mastered cloaking technology beyond imagination. Others claimed their special forces could walk through shadows, or bend light, or slip between dimensions. None could agree, but all agreed on one truth. The humans had not defended their colony this time. They had attacked, and worse, they had not done it to win territory or to gain wealth. They had done it to send a message. The galaxy could send fleets, but fleets would vanish. The galaxy could send hunters, but hunters would never return. In hidden chambers, alien generals trembled. One muttered what no one wanted to hear. If these are the ones we see, what about the ones we do not? Rumors spread of human sayings, words whispered among soldiers. Regulars fight to win. Special forces fight to end. The council could not deny it anymore. Humanity was not simply strong. Humanity was untouchable. In the shadows, the vanishing fleet became legend. A warning carved into the minds of every race. 30 warships gone, not destroyed in fire, but erased in silence. And still, no one knew how many of these special forces truly existed. Some said a few thousand, others whispered millions. But numbers did not matter anymore, because the galaxy had learned the truth. Even one unit could break an empire. The truth of Earth, the council chamber was silent. The surviving admirals stood pale, their reports shaking in their hands. 30 ships gone, only 6 limped back. No battle records, no captured enemies, only fear. For weeks, the galaxy argued. Was it cloaking technology? Was it sabotage? Was it luck? But deep down, everyone knew it was not luck. It was not chance. It was human design. One elder of the council finally spoke. His voice cracked with age, but his eyes carried knowledge the younger ones lacked. He revealed a sealed archive. Forbidden for centuries, inside were records from Earth's earliest wars, before they had even left their planet. The aliens leaned closer. They saw images of humans fighting each other in endless wars, jungle warfare, desert ambushes, frozen battles. They read of soldiers who could live for weeks without supply, who could turn shadows into allies, who could strike unseen and vanish. These were not new creations. These were the ancestors of today's special forces. Understand this, the elder said, his voice heavy. These humans did not invent their shadows for us. They forged them long before they touched the stars. They trained them for their own wars. Wars against themselves, against extinction, against their own monsters. Gasps filled the chamber. For the first time, the truth became clear. The special forces were not born because of the galaxy. They were born because of Earth. A world that demanded survivors. A world that crushed the weak and hardened the strong. Another record played. A grainy video showed 12 human soldiers moving through a ruined city. Their eyes cold, their steps silent. They fought enemies without hesitation. Every move practiced, precise, deadly. When the video ended, no alien dared to breathe. The elder closed the archive and whispered, and that was only their past. Today they are sharper, darker, more prepared than ever. If regular soldiers broke your fleets, then these are the knives they keep hidden for the wars that matter most. The chamber erupted in fear. Some leaders shouted to ban humans from all alliances. Others demanded immediate war before Earth grew stronger. But no one stepped forward to lead, because in their hearts they knew war with humanity meant death. Outside the chamber, the galaxy whispered. Stories of Earth's training reached even the farthest colonies. Tales of men buried alive to test their breath, of women running through fire with no fear, of soldiers trained to fight blindfolded. In total silence, one smuggler swore he had seen a human practice holding his breath underwater for 7 minutes. Another claimed a squad survived, locked in a freezing cave for a month with no food. And though the tales grew wild, no one doubted them. Because every story seemed possible when it was about humans, the truth spread. Humanity had not just soldiers, They had survivors, hunters, predators. And if the galaxy thought the regular armies were dangerous, then the special forces were beyond imagination. A Zioth warlord, scarred from fighting humans, before warned his council, "Do not test them further. Regular humans already turned our strength into ash. If these shadows are unleashed, we will not have empires left to rule." Still, some greedy leaders plotted in secret. They believed if they could steal even a fragment of human training, they could control the galaxy. They sent spies again. They sent assassins. They sent machines. None returned. One final message reached the council, a whisper sent through broken comms. "We thought we were watching them, but they have always been watching us." Then silence. And so the galaxy learned the truth of Earth. The special forces were not new. They were ancient. They were not made for the galaxy. They were made for survival itself. The galaxy trembled. For if Earth ever unleashed them fully, no army, no fleet, no empire would stand. The strike back. For years, the galaxy had watched humanity with fear. For months, they whispered of the shadows called special forces, and now the whispers turned into screams because the humans no longer waited. They struck first. The council had grown arrogant. They thought they could hide their fleets in the core systems, protected by layers of ships, satellites, and scanners. They believed the special forces could not reach them there. They were wrong. On a cold night in the sector of Valar Prime, alarms blared. The largest fleet headquarters of the council suddenly went dark. Communication cut in an instant. Power grids failed one by one. Panic spread through the command halls. The generals shouted, "Who is attacking us? Where are the enemy ships?" But the skies above were empty. No human fleets, no armies, only silence. Inside the bases, shadows moved. They came through vents, through sewers, through walls. No one saw how they entered. They carried no banners, no insignias, only black armor that blended into the dark. Their rifles whispered death. Their blades cut before eyes could follow. Entire control rooms fell without a single shot fired. Generals found their guards missing. Officers opened their doors and saw nothing but empty halls. Then they never returned. One alien commander managed to send a short message before he vanished. "We are not fighting soldiers, we are fighting ghosts." His voice shook. Then the line went silent. Outside in the docking bays, explosions rippled. Human special forces had planted charges across the fleet's fuel lines. Dozens of warships lit the sky as fire consumed them. Thousands of soldiers ran for escape pods, but none made it out. Every pod door was sealed. Every control sabotaged before hands could reach them. The council had thought fleets were safe inside their walls. They never imagined an enemy that would walk past their defenses as if they did not exist. By dawn, Valar Prime was ash. The fleet that guarded the council was gone. The headquarters that once commanded half the galaxy was nothing but smoke and silence. The survivors were few, but their stories spread fast. They spoke of figures who could appear from nowhere, who could disable a ship with a single touch, who looked into their eyes and filled them with despair. One survivor whispered, "They did not fight for victory, they fought to erase us." The council tried to cover the truth, but it was too late. Traitors, smugglers, refugees all carried the tale. The humans had struck deep inside the core. They had done the impossible. And worse, they had done it with only a handful. No fleets, no armies, no banners, just shadows. The galaxy trembled. If the special forces could erase a fleet headquarters, what else could they do? Could they topple empires overnight? Could they kill kings and queens in their own palaces? Could they end the council itself? On Earth, no statement was made. No human leader claimed responsibility. No broadcast explained the attack. Only silence. That silence was louder than any declaration of war, for in silence the galaxy heard the truth. Humanity had sent its warning. Humanity could strike anywhere, anytime, against anyone. From that day, alien generals began to sleep with lights on. Rulers doubled their guards. Fleets patrolled their own capitals. But none of it mattered. Because deep inside, they knew. If humans wanted them gone, no wall, no guard, no fleet would save them. The strike back had begun, and the galaxy could not turn away. The final warning. The galaxy had seen fear before, but never like this. Valar Prime still smoked, fleets burned in silence, command centers erased, and not a single human ship had been sighted. It was as if the special forces had walked out of the dark, torn the heart out of the council, and returned to shadows. Alien rulers gathered in secret chambers, their voices trembling. They argued about peace, about surrender, about revenge. Some demanded new fleets, others demanded new weapons, but none of them dared to act, for every whisper ended with the same truth. If humans came again, there would be nothing left. Then the message arrived, across every channel, on every planet, in every fleet. The transmission broke through. Screens flickered, lights dimmed, silence filled the air. And then a single figure appeared. He wore no rank, no medal, no bright colors, only black armor, his face hidden beneath a shadowed visor. His voice was calm but heavy, every word pressed against the hearts of those listening. "You feared our regular soldiers," he said slowly. "You called them brutal, unstoppable, dangerous, and still, they were only the beginning." He paused, letting silence stretch. Every creature in the galaxy leaned closer, afraid yet unable to look away. "You sent fleets to find us," the voice continued. "You sent hunters to trap us, you sent wars to test us, and every time you failed, every time you lost, because you do not understand what we are." The visor tilted slightly, as though the figure looked straight through the screens into every eye watching. "Our regular soldiers fight to win," he said. "But we, the special forces, we do not fight for victory. We fight to end. When we move, wars do not last. When we strike, enemies do not return. When we are sent, there is only silence. No threats, no shouting, no anger, just calm truth spoken as if it were law." The figure leaned closer, his voice dropping. "If the regulars made you tremble, remember this. You have not yet seen our best. You have only seen our warning." The message ended. The screens went dark. The silence that followed was heavier than thunder. In the council chamber, no one spoke. Generals sat frozen. Leaders stared at the floor. They knew it was not a bluff, not propaganda. It was reality. Humanity had drawn its line. The galaxy could step back, or it could burn. From that day, empires hesitated before threatening Earth. Pirates refused to raid human colonies. Warships turned away at the border of Terran space. For all their arrogance, all their power, the alien races could not forget. They had feared human regular soldiers, and now they feared the ghosts behind them. And in the dark corners of the galaxy, one phrase spread like fire, whispered in fear and respect. "The soldiers will fight you. The special forces will erase you." And so the galaxy remained silent, for silence was safer. Silence was survival. Silence was the shadow of Earth,